Today's episode is a follow-up episode from one of our old episodes lah. Guess what?
Don't know.
Got some more thing to talk about, meh?
That's why.
In her brain. We're going to talk about family again and siblings and parents.
Okay.
You're listening to...
Jom Sembang Malaysia.
Okay, so what inspired this episode, right? I find that some of my friends have been texting me about their feedback or how they relate better to some of the episodes. And then they share their experience.
Oh.
But then they don't share on audio note leh. So only I hear it and then you hear it from your friends, I hear from my friends.
Right, yeah.
So next time, guys, please give us a collective, story so they can all hear it together.
Yeah, we don't have to mention your name if you don't want to be.
Yeah. So in today's episode, we actually start with something new lah. We got to introduce the podcast, which we will be having guests to join us lah.
Yay!
Just in case you have gotten bored of two of us. So today's topic, we're going to chat a little bit more about taking care of aging or elder parents.
Elderly parents.
As well as siblings playing a role in that whole situation thing.
Okay.
So I know that your brother has gotten married, have his own family, and then you're living with your mom.
Correct.
So what was life like before your brother got married lah?
Walao.
Like, you know,
That was a
were they
long,
living with
long
you or
time
what was
ago.
happening?
Okay, so of course, growing up, actually my brother had not been living with us for a long time because, okay, firstly, he's 10 years older than me. So when he left to go to college after Form 5 in KL. At that time, we were in Malacca, right? So he left home after Form 5. So 18 years old, I would have been 8.
Wow.
So from 8, I was kind of the only living, not only living, the kid
Only
who
child
was
in
at
the
home,
house.
the only child in the house. And then we moved up to KL, right? So at 10 years old, then he came to stay back with us. And then he went overseas again to travel. To study.
So indirectly, once he left the nest, he didn't really come back to the nest to stay
Not
any long term lah.
Yeah, not long term because immediately after he got married and then he went overseas to study. So, yeah, and he got married really early at 23. So, that time span since I was 8, it was pretty much, after that, it was more of me with my parents lah. And then my dad passed away when I was, 19.
Oh, that's quite young.
So then it became me and my mom.
Yep.
Yeah. So at that point, I went to college and then I started working and then I went overseas. And there was already that shift because when I went overseas, mom will be alone.
Correct.
Right? So my brother was very good and the family, they would take her out at least a couple of times a week and so she wouldn't be so alone at home. And that was the age of ICQ. So we could still keep in touch lah. But at that time she wasn't, I wouldn't call it aged. She was only in her 60s.
Okay.
So quite able to go online and do all the ICQ and stuff. Yeah. So now, I think it took some time for me to adjust in a sense that it kind of transitioned into now that she is elderly lah. I kind of forget how old she is sometimes. She's 87.
Yeah, because she still looks young.
And she's quite mobile. Only I think just after COVID, she began to feel a bit weak in the legs sometimes. But that's really, really the first thing. So I really, really have to remind myself that, your mother is 87, okay? 87 is not young. It's people at 87 are not mobile, you know?
Correct.
Yeah. So for me, it's more of that. I've been very, very fortunate to not have to worry about hospital visits, medical checkup. It's seriously, almost none of that at all. So my only concern is now the weak legs kind of thing lah. So your question is about how siblings play that role, right? Because they've been on their own for a good over 20 years.
Yep.
But I have to say, they are engaged in the sense that we've made it a point to always go to the house on Sundays for dinner. So while we are talking, they kind of take mental notes of what's going on.
Okay.
So when my mom is like, she needs to have banana every day. so that she can poop, you know. I mean, like, okay, like, it's not just my mom, it's everybody, right? But that's her routine. So now it's like, most times when we go, it's like my sister-in-law, like, hey, I got bananas for mom, you know. And then when her legs went soft, then somebody introduced energy drink, you know, for elderly people. And then she found out, it's like, then they also go and find, got sale, then they also buy. So it really actually helps to share the financial load lah.
Okay, that makes sense.
The thing is, only for me is like when I want to go traveling, right? I always bring her along because I don't think there is a space for her in their house.
Okay.
And trying to sort that out is
A
too
totally
complicated.
different stress.
Yeah, so I'm like, let's just go, and it's good for her to get out of the house lah. So that's I think that's my situation in terms of care lah.
So for me, I have a very different experience because my sister left for Singapore slightly more than 10 years ago.
Wow,
so
long
I
time
remember,
already.
Yeah, when she left, she was probably 20
Okay.
after STPM. And I think for me, when she left, and then I have a brother who's like adult as well, but then she's a bit of a slow learner, special needs. So not that I don't consider him as a sibling, but it's an extra person to take care of lah.
Okay,
If you're
okay.
taking care of a family lah.
Right.
Yeah, so initially there wasn't much of a burden, but the last few years when my parents started to get old, then there's more hospital visits. And then the hospital visit became not just my brother, because my brother is a heart patient.
Right.
Then come my mother also go for hospital visit. Then my father started his clinic visit for his high blood pressure or something like that.
Okay.
So it became like quite a regular clinic hospital visiting and stuff like that. And all these things happening, then my sister is abroad. So of course she kind of know what is it, but when you are living far away, you don't feel the routine or the change.
Okay.
Yeah, so sometimes, especially the recent time when things are a bit harder with my mom. Remember the last episode we talked about hospitalization and stuff like that. So it became like, hello, why my siblings so far away? You know, am I the only one who needs to go to the hospital when 3 of them are sick?
Right. Yep.
And for 33 over days, you're like, can someone else just do it this today, you know?
Correct. Because your brother also can't help, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And then when you have someone that's far away, not complaining, I'm just saying that it's her way of concern. So how is everybody today? How is everything today? And then all of us here are like, I must reply. We already kind of know ish, you know, that kind of thing. So it became slightly different dynamics. Yeah, but I think what I really honestly felt when my sister went to Singapore, and you kind of know lah, when you go to NUS study, and you kind of know like when you study in Singapore, 50% of the time you won't come back.
Okay.
And true enough, she didn't come back lah. She stayed there. But when she left, she was probably 20. And now that every time she visits, I feel that it's very different in the sense that there's over 10 over years, the family has changed and grown and stuff. But she's only coming back once every few months. And every time she come back, she by default goes back to that old settings of the family.
I see.
So like some family, like let's say my family like to talk very loud, or we have a certain habits or stuff like that. But all of that has changed. And of course you don't change it.
Mellow down.
Hello, Singaporean sister, we have changed. I mean, it's something that happened gradually. Okay, so but when she comes back and she treats it like we are all the same, then instead of her adjusting to us, we all adjust back to her. And then when she leaves, she goes back. So I find it like, wow, quite different lah. You know? And we always see that this is not to like talk bad about my sister. Because when she comes back and pretend we all never change or never take notice of it, there's also the whole coming back with more money, power and everything. So it's like, I have to take care of the family. Then she provides financially a little bit. But everything else is you lah, because you're here on a daily basis. And at some point, being the so-called almost the only caretaker sibling, it feels a bit tiring lah. Yeah lah.
But just a question, right? It's like, when a person is not, like, I'm sure there are a lot of families with a sibling overseas, right? I would have thought that the one coming back would have a little bit more of an adjustment problem because you have seen everybody every day. You are transitioning, right? But the person coming back is like, okay, maybe after a year, it's like, this one
Maybe
different
not
already.
leh. Maybe they come back with the old mindset. But then the family also trying to make her feel welcome and
they adjust back to that mode.
I
So
find
everybody's-
more time is that way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's quite hard for them to readjust to this. And that's personal experience lah.
Okay. And I suppose they're only back for a week
2-3
or 2
days.
Or 2-3 days. So
Correct.
everybody goes into that, that mode. And then,
Correct.
okay, now we go back to normal mode. Oh.
Yeah, I find that happening quite a bit. And I remember talking to my sister about it because I think there was one time it started to irk me a little bit.
Right.
That I just went, how come we all keep going back to this loud mode when she's back? And then when she go on, then we need to readjust back to our normal. So I remember telling her, hey, maybe when you talk, don't talk so loud. And I remember she said, but you all talk like that, what? Then I said, actually, we all don't talk like that. But when you come back and the first thing you hello and you talk like that, then everybody adjusts to you, then like that lah. But I'm trying to explain that on a normal basis now we don't. So there are things that change that siblings who are not here might take a harder time to locate or recognize that change. Yeah. But I also think that what my sister did was very great when doing my mother's hospitalization is after the first week, she said, should I come back?
Okay.
I think this sort of initiative is good because it cannot be hello. I go, hello sister, please come back.
Come back. Yeah.
It's not life and death yet, but if you come back and give me 2-3 days break, that's not too bad.
Okay.
You know, and I think that sort of things helps lah.
Yeah. And it does take a lot of effort, right? You have to book the flight and you have to come back. So it's...
Yeah, it's a cost money and everything else. But then it's the fact that I don't have to ask for it.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
So I think that don't happen with everyone. I have to say that. Lah. Yeah. So after the break, for the first time, we're going to bring a guest in to join us to share a little bit more about this topic because we have different family dynamics and I just want to understand how it works in other families.
This episode is brought to you by 2105 Productions. Now, if you're looking for a place to do podcasts like us, call JD, look them up they're everywhere. Twitter, Facebook,
Yeah, but you must say
Instagram.
21:05. 21:05. That's what you should be searching for.
Yeah. If you're looking to record a song, a demo, yeah, you can do it here too. And we're back.
We are back. During the commercial break, I thought of something that I wanted to share. I used to live with my family. Then you have to take care of your parents and the brother, right? And it becomes so much that what I do, I decided to move out. And my mom thought it was the silliest move ever because I need to pay for 2 households. Right?
Okay.
Right. But then I find that I needed a break from my parents lah. Like, a physical break so that they are not too dependable or reliable on me. Like I wake up, they're not on my face. And then when I sleep, they're not in front of me lah. Okay. So
On your
yeah.
face.
So I mean, sometimes caring for your family also making sure that you have enough mental space to survive being the caretaker
对的。
and stuff like that. And I remember when I was talking about this to a friend, and then I found out that, her parents actually very near to her also lah. Like very, very near. How near? Ah?
Few steps away.
Few steps
away. Are you sure they are not in the next room?
Okay, it's actually my neighbor on the left.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, this friend, we have chosen to be anonymous. Gonna share some story for us today about the parents who live next door.
Right.
Yep.
So is it like next door, like house number 312 and then 313? Or is it like a duplex where they have the next key to the...
So my house number is 12 and theirs is 14. So that's close. And we don't have a partition. So they can walk in and out the house through the lawn.
Oh yeah, but right, Malaysia is not follow 13,
Correct,
14, 15,
correct. It's
16.
an odd
So
number,
12,
even
14
number.
means next door already. Like next door.
Yes.
Do you have like a mini gate between the walls, the fence?
No, we broke the wall and then built a
Oh my
small
gosh, there's
door.
no wall.
Oh, so you share the same driveway?
No, we didn't share the same driveway because at that time I couldn't afford to tile the floor.
Okay.
So there's no open porch.
Uh-huh.
Whereas other neighbors who have families staying next to each other, they just basically run down the whole porch and then they expand it.
Correct.
So mine is, I still have that brick wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just have this little opening where my parents can walk through
Okay.
Without going
going
through
to
the
the
gate.
gate.
Yeah.
Without going
okay.
through the
So it
gate.
seems to be a normal thing in your neighborhood.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know whether it's this clang thing or it's across different places. But in my area, we see a lot of families where you can tell, so this is actually family staying next to each other. Because they break down the wall that separates between the two houses.
But I'm always curious because there was one time I was thinking about buying or renting a place. Now very popular condo got dual key.
Yeah.
2 entrance. So I told my parents, you do the entrance, I do this entrance, but we have the same big entrance. And for a while when I was contemplating that, I was like, I don't think it's a good idea. They will know when I go in and out the house. How do you even survive that? Like they know lah when you go in, go out, or you don't even know they come to your house really because they just cross a small little gap. Intruder.
So they will come and say, hey, why are you not working today? And if I'm sick, right? My mom will be knocking at the door. Are you okay? Do you need lunch? Do you need meals?
That's kind of nice though.
But for me, when I have migraine, I just leave me alone.
Okay.
I don't need the meals. I just want to sleep in a cold environment
Okay.
and lights out. So my mom, being very kind, she'll knock on my door and say, hey, do you need lunch? Can I get you something? And then during MCO, it's even worse. She'll be coming over like, hey, you're not working, right? Can you fix this for me? I say, Mom, I'm at work now. Can I attend to you later? So she doesn't understand the concept of working from home.
Right.
So but when she see my husband and I at home during MCO, then she'll come, hey, I need to fix this. Can you help us to fix this? Like,
The exact reason why I moved out.
Okay, but
Because
guess what?
I'm also working from home.
Guess what? I have the same thing.
Yeah, so it happens. It's just that it happens in the same house. It's next door also happens.
yes.
Maybe let's realign a little bit. Can you share maybe 3 pros and 3 cons of having your parents living next to you with a gap in between just to go in, go out?
oh, I got more cons than pros.
Come, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
We don't have a personal space, although we are divided by the wall, right? Back then when my brother was still staying with us, he has a big car. So my parents' house have 3 cars and we only have 1 tiny car. So my parents or my mom encroach our space and dry her clothes in our porch.
Right, because they got no more space because the car is already there.
Correct. So meaning my house has 2 clothes hanger.
Okay.
And then it gotten worse over the years. She said, hey, your car's very dirty. Can you park further a bit so I can dry my clothes?
In my house.
So, the first few times she said, I thought, okay, I'll just repark it nicely so she has a space and all. Over time, it became unbearable because it's my space. Like Gina said, it's my space. Why are you asking me to park according to how you want it?
Yeah.
So then my dirty car doesn't touch your clothes.
Yeah, your clean laundry.
It's like my space, but they treat it as our space or their place.
And then the other con is when she travels, can you please water the plant for me? And then when she come back, I forgot, right? The plants all dry up. She's like, why didn't you water the plant? I said, I don't have time.
Hey, but this one, I don't think is It's, if you're living next door, why you should be watering your plant lah. If my parents ask me, right, and then I need to drive to the house five
I
minutes
was gonna
away,
say
then
that
I'm
too
like,
No, but my own plants are also drying. So does that make sense? I take care of her plants and not take care of my plants. But, I'm being fair. I didn't take care of my plants. I didn't take care of her plants.
Okay. All right.
And then my brother got married in KL and they nicely parked his car in my porch because it's a nicer car compared to ours. And they make us park our car somewhere far away. So
she totally don't have space lah. Okay, the
Wow,
conclusion is
you've been
don't live next to your parents as a neighbor because your house become their house, your space become their space.
She's been crowded out of her own house.
Actually, how did you?
porch.
How did they? Okay, wait. How did you end up living next to them or they living next to you? I mean, it's quite uncommon. Like, Mom, I'm going to buy the house next to you.
Okay, the initial arrangement wasn't this. So the house that they're staying now belonged to my late brother.
Okay.
So it was a pact between me and my late brother. I said we'll stay next to each other and then support one another.
Okay.
So my parents have a house that's kind of far away from us. So it's nice for both of us to have our own nest.
Correct.
Near enough.
Which
that
is why I move out. But yeah.
And then my parents have their own, so it's far away and then we don't have to attend to them. But while the house was building, my brother passed away and so my parents sold their house, came and stayed in the house that my brother bought. So that's how I got into this.
Interesting. But I want to know, right? Why would siblings decide to live next to each other? You must be very close to your brother because I don't think I will tell my sister, please buy next door. I also don't want my sister to know when I go in and go out, when I bring a guy home,
So me and my late brother, we had very good relationship. And so when he wanted to buy his first property, he asked me, AJ, would you like to buy next to me? Because the apartment I was staying was quite close by. He said, come on, join us. And then I also have an aunt and uncle who stay just a couple of streets away. So basically we're in like same taman.
Yeah. That one I've heard before. Like my godma, her siblings all live in the same taman. So they go, dinner at number 5, And, tomorrow we play games at number 12, that kind of thing. But it's not next door lah.
But sounds very nice lah, the communal
You can
spirit.
walk lah. You can just walk 2 minutes reach already.
Correct.
But it's not in your face lah. It's not like...
Correct. Because I find that now with my clan, right, we used to all live around Seri Petale, Sungai Besi area. Then when one of us had to get married and then go PJ, and then after that, the common place to meet is like so tricky. So I find that idea interesting, but yeah, like you said, maybe just not next door lah.
So the only con is I live close to my parents and my auntie and uncle. So the support came very handy when my mom went through that emotional
I see.
downtime when my brother passed away. So I could call my auntie and say, I can't reach mom. Can you please go over to the house and call, check on her while I work. I was at work.
Right.
And during MCO when we can't travel like I think more than 10 km, but we still have our reunion dinner because we're all staying within that same area.
The only pro lah, not the only con, the only pro. Okay.
The only
okay.
pro.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that family support within that area was helpful for all of us. Not just for me, but my auntie and uncle. And when they said, hey, no, I needed something, can you come over and help us?
I kind of like how the idea of living nearby is like both helpful and harmful. It's like, okay, nearby can ask for help, but also nearby, it's like, just now I pass by your house, you never wash your car.
Oh, yes, I get that quite often. Like, my house now need a new coat of paint. They will say, hey, when are you going to get it done? Like, when I have time.
If you look at it as accountability, it's actually not too bad.
Not too bad lah. But sometimes, okay, so like I live with my mom, right? So I still get your room very messy. Like, why all these things all here? Do you still need this? I'm like, it's my office, it's my room. Why you care whether I need this or I don't need this lah, you know? So yeah, it happens lah.
Yeah, whether it's a room or a house, right?
I mean,
It's the same for me too.
I say you don't go to my brother's house and say that, right?
True, right? I always find that to be like a double standard. So if like my mom comment on certain things on me, but when my sister come back, that's the same thing. She don't get it. Then I'm like, hey, how come double standard one? Why just because the other fellow have left, the next come back, get treated as a VIP, and then all the things that would get hentam, and you didn't get hentam like that, you know, like
Right.
why?
The answer is because they are them and you are you.
Yeah, but it's same sibling. I mean, same daughters.
I know.
But yeah, that's also exactly the reason why I invited a friend over here, because she also have a sibling that is abroad. Yeah.
And he's far away from Singapore. You take him. at
Okay, you
least
will fly
10
back for fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my brother has emigrated with his family to Auckland.
Oh.
And we just visited them not too long ago. So this is very interesting because when we went over, imagine 3 families staying under the same roof. Ooh, it was challenging.
And was there like enough space for 3 families? Or is it, you go travel and everybody kind of cramps into the living room lah, or share the bed? The bedroom is like 4 people, or macam mana?
The house is spacious enough for each and every one of us to have our own space.
Okay.
I get the privilege of sharing it with my nephew,
Okay.
who's 3 years old.
Oh, nice.
But my parents are or at least my mom is quite domineering.
Okay.
She doesn't tell you to your face, I don't like it, how you do things, but she'll show it by her action.
Okay.
Sounds typical.
Yeah.
And then my brother, on the other hand, is quite vocal about things that he dislikes.
Okay.
So he'll vocalize it or verbalize it to my parents, and my parents find it very harsh.
Right. And
Very
how long
brutal.
was this visit?
For my father, it was 3 weeks. My mom was there for 3 months.
Okay.
I'm just wondering whether it's a personality type or not. Because my sister does the same thing. She very vocal, she come back, it's like, oh, why you all like this one? Why you all like this one? Why you all like this one? And then she goes off. I always feel like, why like that one? And then I'm in my back of mind whether because I'm with my parents all the time that I don't question it, or is just it. But listening to her story is like quite similar lah.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering whether it's because I see you once a while so I can hentam you kind of feeling.
I think for my mom, she wants to show her authority, like, hey, you're not doing this the right way. There's other ways that it's better. For my brother, it's like, I'm old enough, I'm an adult, stay away.
But he would answer. He would, and you might not necessarily respond the same way, correct?
Correct. So my mom, if she doesn't like that confrontation, she'll come to me and say, hey, why your brother like that lah? And I say, no, why not? He's been out for so long. Because my brother's been out since he was 20. So he went to the States to study, and then he stayed there for a while, came back for a year or so, and he went overseas again. So to count at the days where he really spent time with my parents is almost none.
Right.
Although he was just spending that 2 years in KL, my mom treated him like a prince, like a king.
Exactly. I don't understand this dynamic of how it works. How is it that the siblings who left the nest far away come back and get treated like a queen? and then everything gets swept under the carpet, or they get extra permission that we don't have to do certain things. At first I thought it's just personality, like, it's just her personality and family's personality. But now that you mention it, I feel it might be how being away and coming back for temporarily gives you different privilege.
Yeah, definitely. And to add to it, he's the youngest. And the age gap between me and my youngest brother is very big, like 9 years. So we kind of, all of us give in when he was younger.
Okay.
So technically, how he behaves now is our doing lah.
So there's a commonality here, like both your siblings are also the youngest. So you never know. Well, I'm the youngest. But then mine different.
Let me go
because I'm
interview your brother instead.
I think all our older siblings will say that all the youngest ones are a little bit spoiled in a way lah. Like we get preferential treatment a little bit. But okay, so just now you mentioned something about your mother would come to you and say, "Oh, why is he like that?" Right? But do you sometimes feel that you should respond the same way if you don't like people encroaching into your porch, for example? Like, actually, I should have also at that point, like, no, I don't like this. Can you go and put your car somewhere else, for example lah?
I think I'll go back to personality. Because I'm easier to deal with. As in, I will give in a bit more compared to my brother. So my parents or my mom would come and say, okay, she will impose a lot of things on me, her standards, and I will just give in. Nothing that disrupt my routine and all, I'll just give in. But over time, I feel very overwhelmed by her requests. Then I'll just tell her very nicely and say, no, I don't think you should be doing this, and I would like my porch back. But I did eventually tell her.
Okay.
Oh,
Did
she
it
got her
work? Did
porch
it work?
back.
Let's just say there was Cold War for
Right?
a couple of weeks.
And then?
And then she said, okay lah, since you, I cannot dry my clothes there, I just dry my clothes here. I have to park the car out lah.
Makes
It's
sense, right?
Guilt trip you to, because you said no. And now it's extra work for her.
Guilt trip. But it's so interesting. The whole how things happen lah.
Yeah. But I do agree lah. I do think it's a personality type. Like, we have the DISC and all that, you have the dominant, then you have the people who are more of influenced or inspired to do. I won't tell you what to do, but I will every day try and change your
But I
perception.
find that parents who are with you every day treat you differently compared to siblings who are away. So what I mean by that is, for example, right, her mom will go to her and say, why your brother like that one? Say my mother will come to me, why your sister like that one? I say, why you don't talk to my sister, talk to me for what?
Because you are there ma.
No, but the fact is, if I thought a sister, then spoil her trip back, then the whole trip wasted. So, again, it's the whole comeback and being treated special, don't want to spoil the moment kind of thing. But if you're every day, I take you for granted, and then I can spoil the moment anytime because tomorrow there's another day. I find it a bit unfair and a bit like, is there a way that we can solve or make this better kind of thing, Because it's a common trait. I don't think it's a personality thing. Or you think so? Does your mother tell your brother about you that you don't know?
I'm sure
why
yes.
you like that one? Why you tell
Not why like that, just complain lah about me, God. Definitely God. I heard before, yeah. But
then they rarely complain about the one away.
yes. But, okay, so on the flip side, my mother does complain to me about other people. Right? Like, why do I care about that person doing what? And there's nothing I can do about it. So sometimes I will say, why don't you just go and tell him or her? If you got a problem with that, go tell him lah or tell her lah. Wait, tell me for what? But then sometimes I realize that actually she's just talking. She's just communicating to me about this person.
There's a whole talk altogether.
Yeah.
The
So I
older
don't know,
generation talking is like complaining.
So I don't know whether yours is that, just saying to you because you are there more
mine,
often.
no. I'm quite used to it. My mom will sometimes tell me, hey, your sister haven't come back so late. Then I said, you call her lah. Then when my sister come back, I must say, hey, mom asked why you coming so late. So there was a few times that the time my sister come back, maybe 3-4 months holiday, school break. Then she said, hey, mom asked why you come back so late. I said, never ask me. Yeah, they asked me. So I realized sometimes it happened that like the way they don't complain direct to the daughter, they complain through the son or the second daughter or the...
Maybe they think you are like the middle person lah. The cecek got talk better than the mother talk. I don't know. What's your experience?
For me, the encounter is how my brother and my sister-in-law on their parenting. So my brother religiously calls back, video call every week.
Yeah.
And let my parents see the grandson. So after the video call ended, my mother will say, hey, why your brother feed your nephew the whole bok choy, you don't cut the bok choy. And then
okay.
the poor kid has to bite and you know how I think probably Malaysian we cut the fruit, food for kids.
Right.
So whereas the Western countries, they do whatever they like.
Yeah.
So then she tell, hey, you tell your brother lah, don't feed like that. No, after he get choked. I said, you tell him lah. You're the mother.
Yeah, correct.
Exactly.
So the one after I create a friction between husband and wife, then they will fight. I said, then what do you want me to do?
You create the fiction.
So it's okay for me to create a fiction.
But that's my question. So is she actually expecting you to do something about it, or is she just airing her thoughts? To you because you are there.
I find at times it's just airing her thoughts.
Okay.
But when I hear her talk enough, like she repeat this story again and again, then I realize she's actually expecting me to tell my brother, hey, stop feeding the kid the whole bok choy.
That's actually very interesting because a lot of times I also wonder, you tell me so many times, because you want me to do something about it, or because elderly people just repeat themselves.
Yeah.
So I sometimes I'm like trying to which one is it, you know? Then sometimes I ask actually you want me to do something or what? No I just talking only Oh, okay. Then I actually ask nowadays instead of me having to crack my brain what's going on.
Okay, my last question to you, right? So that just now you mentioned Cold War. How is it like having a Cold War with your neighbor?
A related one, so.
When I talk to her, she won't respond. And sometimes when I buy food for her, right, I'll go over, this is for you. Then she'll just look at it and she just walk away.
Oh.
And then when I call her, I say, hey, let's go for dinner. I usually take them out for dinner on weekends. She'll just remain silent and she won't say anything. So I would know the Cold War ended when she come over and say, hey, let's do dinner this weekend.
Wow, older generation got a lot of energy. I don't think I have the energy to hold grudge so long. It's like so tiring.
I think maybe they're sensitive also That's why, but maybe when we get there.
Okay, let's end with what advice you have to siblings who are abroad or far away when it comes to playing a part or being part of a family here. Like, if you have something to say to your brothers, like, what would you say, I know what I want to say to my sister.
I think for my brother, I wish he would be a bit more tentative to the parents' need. Although they don't say much, he will just keep quiet, thinking no news is good news. And between he and I, he will only text me if he needed something. Okay. If not, I won't hear from him for a long, long time. He won't even include me into the video call to see my nephew, unless I text him and say, hey, if you're calling home, please include me in. So to me, he's not taking enough initiative to reach out. It's like, I'm living my own life here. I'm trying to cope with it. So whatever that's happening at home, if it's nothing life-threatening or anything that's serious, I don't need to know. Like Father's Day and all, I have to say, hey, I'm taking the family to this place, and then he'll say, okay, I'll chip in. I think that's as far as he will go. I'll just chip in whatever.
Okay, I should do that to my sister. Father's Day, I have to pay. Mother's Day, I have to pay. Parents' Day, I have to pay. I don't see her chipping in from the other side. The currency rate is much better over there too.
Yeah, taking more initiative from his end, just small talks, or I don't know whether it's because boys a bit difficult to call home and say, hey, how are you guys doing? Yeah.
But normally, if let's say he calls and asks you how you guys doing, and then let's say you have a need or something, does he act on it, or
no, he
just
doesn't.
Listen saja lah. Next lah. I sometimes think that maybe it's the distance that is making them hard to take action. But I do think some actions can be taken. Right? For example, my sister, I think when I had a few chats with her, she started to do stuff like, oh, you're just come back from the hospital tired. Can I send food over to you? All the way from Singapore. That to me is how you be actively involved lah. It's like, you're hungry, buy your own food lah. Like, might as well don't tell you I'm hungry. So I think that kind of different, taking the extra mile. Because like when my sister first started, she said, but if I buy meal for you, then you pay online, then Malaysian, then she'll tell me all this trouble. So it reached one point where I said, if you really want to do something, don't just tell us, I want to send food to you, but very mafan. Then you don't tell me, please. Okay, it's all from the heart. So lately, I find during the pandemic, especially, she make the effort to at least, okay, I'm gonna send you guys a meal, okay?
Yeah.
And don't say, Jay, you pay for me first, because it's very hard to go through the pay money, whatever. Now she doesn't, because I told her, you ask me to pay first, then might as well you don't. I don't feel
You still
it.
have
I don't
to
feel the
go
love.
through the effort.
Correct. So I think sometimes it's just letting them know that it can be done if you really want to do it lah.
Right. So yeah, I mean, small things. I remember during the pandemic also. So my sister-in-law, here's the thing lah. So I'm close with my sister-in-law. And so because brother guy, right, she kind of like does that bridge
Correct.
thing. So sometimes she's the one that will call quite often lah, so when she just sent nasi lemak with the ayam, you just feel like, oh, and it's a small gesture, something that didn't need to be done.
Correct.
But it make you feel loved lah. It really makes you feel loved. I think for me, right, if there was one thing, it would be if I had to travel somewhere. I'm still wondering about this now. It's like, if I had to travel somewhere that would not be conducive for mom to come along, whether or not I would be able to drop her off at their place, or whether they would be able to come and take care, because we live very far away. So I also feel bad, no? It's like Ara Damansara and Old Klang Road.
Quite far away compared to us. Very far away.
Yeah. So if they have to come like every day, I'd be like, ayo, So yeah, it's also not wanting to impose, but yeah, I do wonder if when that day comes, or when that thing comes, how we go and deal with it lah. I think we would work it out, but yeah, right now it hasn't happened
But
yet.
sometimes it's nice that the one who left the nest initiate it. Because like you say, you don't want to impose.
Yes.
You don't be like, this is happening, okay, you just, like I said just now, I don't want to like, hello, can you fly back?
Yeah.
I need a 3 days break.
Yeah.
Like you sendiri pandai, initiate lah. I think being a far away sibling, you should be proactive in that kind of things. You might not be able to fly back, but do something that make life easier, and not like, I want to bless you, but can you do 10 things first? It's like, I want to buy mom insurance. Can you read up? Like, hello, you now online, you read up everything and you just pay money lah. Why must I read up just because we are in the same neighborhood?
The reading is the most of the work, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yes. I have the
think it's
same
the easy part.
issue with the insurance too.
Really? Okay, one last story before we go. Come.
So with my brother, so my parents went over to New Zealand. So I insisted they bought travel insurance. And my mom utilized it. She broke her small toe when she hit the bed pole.
Ouch.
So the thing is, I've sent all the policies over. My brother has a copy. And he has a chick to call me, Jack, can you please check if mom's medical is covered, and how much is it covered, and does it include x-ray, whatnot? I said, but you have a copy. So yeah, but you check it. And then when my mom came back and we realized she doesn't have any more insurance, my brother said, can you call your friend, the insurance agent, and find out if both mom and dad can still buy insurance, and how much I need to foot. I was like, this agent, why can't you just call him yourself? So I've been like ding-donging with the agent, and then finally he said, I can't afford for now. Let's revisit this later. I was like,
But yeah, it's called just because you're far away, don't pass the paperwork to me. But yeah, I think it's one thing that I'll do, because I become very aware that, if I'm traveling, let's say during Mother's Day or whatever day now, I do arrange for certain things lah. I don't just like, okay, my brother, you go and settle dinner, okay? Like knowing that, then he'll be like, what? Why you imposing? So yeah, I make that initiative. Or I will tell him, okay, it's Father's Day, can you go and, have dinner? I will come back and have dinner with you. But between 3 of you, you can have it. Because my brother is a bit specialist lah. So he's not very savvy or smart wise in terms of this lah. So just a word out to all the siblings out there who have left the nest. Remember, there are people in the nest. Please take care of them. Be initiative about it. And see you in the next episode.
See ya!
see you.
Jom Sembang Malaysia is hosted by 2 Malaysians who are passionate about Malaysian stuff.
Stay tuned every week for a brand new Sembang session with Cerita Suito and Gina Yap Layung.
Today's episode is recorded at Studio 2105.
Remember to click like and subscribe for the brand new episode next week.